Hello everyone, this is the LEGO Star Wars Mos Eisley Cantina set for 2018. It's the third product with that title that they've created, and the second in recent memory. With the minifigs in place, you can see that what we essentially get here is a set of 3 minimal-sized vignettes. Oh, they're even designed to be taken apart and looked at individually. So, vignette number 1, the bar. I like this very much for its size. The whole mechanism back there, the still tap setup, whatever all that piping is back there for dispensing drinks, looks good. I think it's definitely the best that we've gotten so far for this scene. And we'll take a closer look at that minifigure, of course. He's a very important one. It's the first time we've gotten him. And he also has his register over here to keep track of bar tabs, and that's just standard printed console that we've gotten quite a number of times up to this point. But yeah, a couple places where you can pour out some drinks, and yeah, that's just that. I think it's, oh yeah, got the spot for the handgun there for defense of the bar, but that's just that. It's nice, it's just tiny. Vignette number 2 is the entranceway, and again, of course, this is really sized down and they've kind of flattened everything out, but it has the scanner over there, the droid scanner, which just has a couple of stickers applied to it. Those are perfectly fine. You essentially get room inside of this thing to place just one single figure. There is no roof over the top of this, so you can easily get your fingers in from the top and the sides and everything to actually pose something in. And looking at it from the outside, sticker there, print right here, that all looks good. The shaping, the texturing, all looks nice, and the door slides open. You hold on to just that little stud that sticks up there, or just pull the whole thing out, and it just slides. Again, it's perfectly good for a tiny little scene. Vignette number 3, that ever controversial booth where, depending upon which version of A New Hope you watch, either Han shoots, and that's the end of it, or Greedo shoots, then Han shoots, or Greedo shoots and Han shoots just a fraction of a second later. They've made entirely too many versions of that scene, but here it is. Small booth. I think this actually looks really good. I like the kind of miniaturized size, which is really not that much smaller than it was in the movie, to be honest, when you consider the caricature proportions of LEGO minifigs. So I think this is actually a really nice looking little scene. The lamp there in the center is made with glow-in-the-dark stud pieces, so that is able to actually lights up pretty nicely. Makes for a nice little bit of glow if you can get it fully charged, and then, you know, look at it at the nighttime. But it's just a small little area, kind of helps to set the mood, but you do need a little bit of additional ambient lighting to make it look right. If you're wondering what these gears are there for, well, those are action features. They are built into the bases of the seats, and depending upon, again, which one you want to do what, you just turn one of these things and it can lean one of the guys to the side or just knock them out of the seat entirely. It's just a small Technic piece there. It's actually integrated pretty decently well. Really well, actually, I'm going to say. Like this, just by itself, would make a really nice, really cheap set. Just a little gift thing just to create that tiny little scene. Not bad. Not bad, just this. Has some texturing around the outside too. But that's not all there is to the set. LEGO has finally made an official Stanley Kubrickian 9000 speeder. That weird pod-looking thing that's parked outside that you see. Is it once or twice? I think you see it twice in the movie, just ever so briefly. Kind of catches your eyes if you see it. If you don't see it, it can be completely forgettable. But, you know, it has a little bit of history behind it, and it's a cool thing that fans like to look at and look into. A lot of people make models of them. I'm sure there have been some custom LEGO models made of this. I think this looks really good, and I think the proportions of it are pretty good. The sizing is pretty good compared to a figure. On the box they suggest that this was Greedo's ship. I'm not sure if that's entirely accurate, but I mean, you can use your imagination as you like. You know, this thing has kind of a cheater for the base with that clear piece that's used down there. It's a 2x2 round brick. but it's a far cry from what they used to do. In the old days, they would just put the strut pieces there and then they would just fall off easily. But this is much more secure. If you don't want to use the cheater piece, you don't have to. But like this, it makes for a better toy. I like the shaping of this thing. It does use quite a few stickers, as you see, going all around, but I think those are pretty important. And they added a stud shooter up here. If you don't like that, just leave it off. It's very easy just to remove that arm. But this thing opens up, and it does have enough space for a single figure to sit in there, and it has that same printed console piece again. But yeah, this is pretty well done. It's nice to actually get this thing, and I think a lot of people will appreciate this. And I'll just put that back on there. Snap! There we go. Yeah, pretty cool. Here are the most modern versions of Han Solo and Greedo for this scene. I think these look great. I think if there are any versions of these for this scene that you want to collect for right now, these should be the ones. Just in terms of accuracy and level of quality. I mean, the printing for the eyes for Greedo there, all of the cloth wrinkle marks, it's really good. And that modern version of hair that they did for Han Solo looks so much better than the previous one. Initially I felt kind of surprised by it and was a little bit taken aback by how much it changed, but once I took a further step back and realized just what it should look like, and then looked at this, yeah, this is good. Of course, you get no alternate face for poor Greedo with that just being a single molded piece, but you do get an alternate for Solo, and here's how that would look, how it would look from the front with the hair on. So it's all good. Here's a Sand Trooper Sergeant. He actually has a printed pauldron piece. It doesn't just have a single color there, so they've got some detail that's added onto that, and he's got a built-up survival pack on. It's nice to get built-up things, but it does look just a little bit bulky to me, but not too much, not too bad. Good printing for this guy. All the dirt on him, all the sand and dust and everything. I think this is a good one. I also like the little bit of brown line that goes around the edges of the eye visors, and need to look at the back print as well. And the dirtiness continues around there. Level of detail is very good. If you don't want to have the backpack on, then it's nice to have this detail. It does make sense definitely to have figures like this, if you get multiple of them, to have them not having the packs on. So characters that are always going to have something covering the torso, I feel, don't need a lot of detail on the back, but here it's appropriate and very welcomed. The only thing to me that is not welcomed is the fact that they use a young Jango Fett specific face. I saved the best for last, though, I think, or at least the most desirable or most interesting new thing. Wuher. How do you pronounce that? W-U-H-E-R. It was never pronounced in the movies, but it's the Bartender. Why have they not made the Bartender until now? They've made 3 Mos Eisley Cantina sets, and they've never made the Bartender. I mean, they could have sold the Bartender as a special edition figure. They could have done him as a promotional figure. This is one that people have wanted. So many people have wanted. I fear that there will be a fair number of folks who will buy this set just to get this figure. That's how desirable it is, and how unfortunate it is that they haven't done it yet. It's good to get him, though. I'm happy to finally get him. Happy to get that little fold of the cloth that goes over the belt as well. That's a really nice touch, and he does have an alternate face. Yeah, it's okay. Where he's getting a little bit agitated. I can see it. I feel like the other face, the first face that I showed you, looked more like him. Of course, that actor, and especially as he was done up for this movie, was he had a face that was kind of dominated by the shape of his nose. So not being able to show that in a figure is difficult. It makes it difficult to capture the look of the character, but I think Lego's done a pretty nice job here. And yeah, I definitely think this is a worthy figure and a collectible figure. Or a worthy figure. Terrible. Want to know how I really feel about this entire set, though? To be honest, I think Lego needs to stop. Straight up. They need to stop making small miniature vignette Mos Eisley Cantina sets. Just put the idea away for a few years and then come back with a UCS Mos Eisley Cantina, because these things just don't cut it. That by itself is nice. If they could do that as a real cheap set, you know, $10, maybe 15 with another figure or something like that. I guess 10 to 15 would be right about in the right range. That would be cool. Or maybe $10 for this, just a little bit larger. You know, if you want to set up a series of connectable parts that will allow us to build up a much larger scene, something that can be displayed in a linear way across a shelf or something, cool. Sell this as its own thing, but cheap. But doing this small little thing as Mos Eisley Cantina, it just doesn't work, in my opinion. Think about it. Most folks who are into this scene skew towards the older side, skew towards collectors. I am always a huge proponent and defender of Lego making sets for kids, because most of their customers are kids. Most of their sets must be play sets because they're toys for kids. However, some of their material, I feel, really targets the older kids and the teens and the adults. And I feel like the Cantina, which is a bar, a dirty, seedy bar from the 1977 movie, is something that deserves to get the older treatment. It deserves to be a larger, more expensive set. I think that this set itself, for its volume of stuff, is just slightly overpriced, not a lot. I think the price of this will come down a bit, and it'll be within a perfectly reasonable range. As it is, the price to part ratio is okay for the number of figures and the size of pieces included and stuff. But I think the fan community now deserves a collector edition Mos Eisley Cantina, even if it'll be kind of a UCS Hoth sort of deal where it won't be a full structure. It'll be something that'll, like I said, be more geared towards being displayed on a shelf, like a IKEA Billy bookshelf. I think that's where they need to go with it, but it needs to have as many figures as possible. It needs to have some depth to the floor and to each of the booths. It needs to have at least one continuous wall, and it needs to have a lot of detail. I think the design of this set here was a pretty admirable effort given the constraint of budget, but I really don't think it's the thing that the market wants. I might be mistaken, but that's my opinion. So with that said, I'm going to move on to my next video because I have many more sets to review. I'll be talking to you again as soon as I can. Bye for now.